first thing first, nothing prepares you for Gen Z. Payal, if you look at India and if you look at, so I'll talk more about engineers. And this is also the generation which is literally internet first. These are things which were unimaginable in our generation. They need to take pride in what they are doing. Prime Minister's vision of Viksit Bharat. This is the generation which is going to lead us there.
Thanks for joining me in today's episode. And we have with us in the studio none other than Bhavana Mittal, who is the co-founder, executive director, and chief growth officer at Bert Labs. Bhavna comes with 25 plus years of experience and is known to be a visionary leader who sets the strategic direction for the company and ensures that its mission aligns with the rapidly evolving tech landscape. And she is joining us today on the podcast to talk about Gen Z, what it takes to work with them. Bhavna, welcome to the podcast. It's really a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Payal. The pleasure is mine as well. It's not every day that you get invited to a podcast, a successful podcast being run by a woman entrepreneur. So thank you for considering me and inviting me here.
Thank you. And I absolutely love the topic that you've chosen, Gen Z. I don't think anyone has spoken so much about them. But before we dive into that, what the Gen Z looks like and what it takes to work with them, Bhavna, what would your career journey look like? How did you become the co-founder? Were you already always an entrepreneur? Did you work first? How did all of this happen in your career life?
Sure. So, Payal, I did the typical thing which we did in the 90s. I did my graduation in physics and then did my MBA and got into advertising because that was something where my passion, lay at that point in time. So, I was in media planning and buying. At that time, people really didn't know what media was all about. I'm talking about like late 90s. So if you're not making an ad or if you're not doing something about an ad, then what are you doing in an agency in the first place? So you have to explain to people that I'm doing I'm doing this because I am placing the ads which they see. There's somebody else who's making the ads. So first job launched Hyundai in India, both Santro and Accent, and then worked across various brands, various agencies, working on FMCG, tires, education. Worked on some of the early dot-com businesses which were launched in India at that time, and spent about 9 years in advertising. Last role was with as head of media for Samsung, and again Hyundai. Realized I have had enough of that, joined Accenture Consulting, where I set up the media auditing division. So, in a way, it was my bit of an entrepreneurial thing because it was a new division which we were setting up within Accenture. So, you had to do literally the grind work from the scratch. Then from there, and that's where my brush with technology also happened because we were trying to automate a lot of things for clients in their media processes. Then from there, I moved over to GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, consumer, as their head for indirect procurement, digital and media. And I also took up CSR. Again, something because I was doing media for so long, I wanted to do something else. And when the opportunity came, I took up CSR. It was an additional responsibility and not that work was any less, but decided to, take it up. So during that stint, worked across brands like Horlicks, Boost, Eno, Crocin, Iodex. We launched Sensodyne during that time. I was part of the team which did the Novartis consumer brands integration. From there, moved to Reckitt Benkiza as the regional head for digital media and communication. So Banega Swachh India, Dettol, Durex, Harpic, Lysol, Veet, Strepsils, Move. So they had quite a few brands. And from there, I joined Indian MNC group. It's called RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, wherein I was vice president for digital and media. And then worked across again. They had varied businesses. So they had chemical company, they had an electricity board, then Saregama Karma, Tuyam, Nature's Basket, Spencer's. So did this for about 23 and a half years. Thought I've had, I could make a media plan or approve a media plan in my sleep. And then that's when this opportunity came about,
Okay.
and decided to take a plunge. I wasn't a entrepreneur. I mean, I wasn't a co-founder initially. I kind of got my way towards it. So joined Bert Labs in December 2021 as the executive director and the chief growth officer. So at Bert Labs, it's got nothing to do with what I've done in my life. But yeah, there are times when you need to reinvent yourself because you just been doing what you are for a long time.
Yeah, very true. But you've had such a journey. You started with physics, went into media, did jobs, came into an entrepreneurship. You have worked with people of different generations, correct? How much have you worked with people of Gen Z?
So in Bert Labs, before Bert Labs, of course, didn't have the opportunity to work with Gen Z. I think most of them were studying at that time.
Hmm. Hmm.
But in Bert Labs, we are recruiting directly from the top colleges in India and globally.
Wow.
So that's when I'm literally like having a first person interaction with the Gen Z.
So now that you're having these interactions, and what do you find different in the Gen Z that you feel that, yes, this is different from the generations I have worked with in so many years?
Sure. So, see, during my stint in advertising and in the FMCG companies as well as Accenture, I've had the opportunity to work with people, manage people. Like, I remember at one point in time, there was somebody who was literally nearing his retirement, and then he was a part of my team. Two people who are just fresh out of college. So, literally handled quite a few different generations. But first thing first, nothing prepares you for Gen Z. Okay, so there is a lot of on the job learning which happens because the way they work, the way they think, their thought processes, their what they're wanting out of life is very different. They don't want to have that structured path. When we were studying, then we had knew that
Hmm.
okay, I'll study, I'll do this, and I'll get into a job. What that job will be, I'll figure out. But I knew that I'm going to be working. Now they come with this thing that okay, I may do a job. I may start my own company, or I may just do a freelancer and just trek in the Himalayas and uh, do some remote work, maybe teach some students there.
Uh,
And so uh, what they want out of their life and career is very, very different. And it's something we as founders of the company, we have to adjust with because we come with
yeah.
this that, oh, I'm giving them this opportunity, I'm giving them this. Why are they not lapping it up? And then it's like, no,
Uh,
their thought process are different. What they want is very different.
Yeah, and I don't think they believe in retiring with a golden watch. In fact, nobody does these days. But it's a lot that they work with a purpose. Do you feel that they have a purpose, or do you feel that the Gen Z needs direction when they come into a organization?
They have a purpose. They do have this thought that they want to do something which is
Hmm.
not your regular run of the mill kind of a thing. But often you have to guide them as well
Okay.
because see Payal, if you look at India and if you look at, so I'll talk more about engineers
Hmm.
because that's what we are working with largely.
Okay.
See, most of them have been away from their homes when they were ninth, 10th, 11th class, right? Their interaction has been with teachers and their fellow batchmates. So for them, through the formative years, they've been away from their families.
Yeah.
So they get very, and this is also the generation which is literally internet first, right?
Very
So a
much.
lot of
Yeah.
information
They've
they are
gone and
getting
grown
from
with
the,
it.
yes, they have grown with it. They've
Yeah.
literally grown with the phone in their hand. So the exposure to information is immense. But are they able to distill it right and work it right is something which you have to guide them, which you have to show them that, uh, See, there are a lot of buzzwords which are right, like sustainability, or I want to work
Yeah.
for doing something for the society, the environment. But what are you exactly doing? Because while the purpose is there, there's also this other dimension to them that they want to just, that I have studied now, let me just, relax in life. So that hunger to learn, that hunger to do something is also goes in waves,
Hmm.
right?
True,
There
because
may be
everything is
plus.
available to them, right? They are in an age of information where if they want something, they will just pull it out. And now with Chat GPT and everything, they are the ones who are using it more than any of us could actually use it, right? So they know
Exactly.
the deeper thing. But like as you said that, these are some of the things, but what makes it difficult for people to actually in the workforce deal with this Gen Z? What are some of the things that executives find it really difficult that, oh my God, I just cannot?
See, when you like we are working from office, okay?
Yeah.
So when you have an entry time to office, you have a time to do your work.
Mm.
So first, punctuality becomes a challenge. Okay. Second is that they will have their uh, during the day also they'll have the times when they're completely non-productive.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'll find so many of them just putting their heads on the table in the afternoon, or
Mm.
going out and on the couch, just being off for some time. Then there are days when they'll just not turn up, and then you feel it like you have to call them up to see where they are. What are they up to? So these are things which were unimaginable in our
Yeah.
generation,
Yeah.
right? If you're not going in, you will call up somebody. You'll say, "Okay, these are my tasks today." You will delegate even as a young fresher,
Right.
right? So, what you have to tell them and what you have to make them understand is that this is your responsibility, this is your ownership. So, you have to take pride in it. You
True.
have to have a passion for what you're doing than doing it as just another
Job.
job.
So,
That
yeah, a lot of
passion
them
you
think
need to
that.
ignite,
True.
because that ownership, that responsibility, that fun of work will come till only after they take an ownership of this is my job and I'm making a difference with this.
Mm.
If I'm just writing a piece of code and I don't know what the bigger picture is,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. So for us, we get them all together, all the different streams of people working together to make them understand why you're doing it. Because
Mm.
otherwise, they don't understand that how those two lines of code they've written, how does it impact the entire work which you are putting in for a client?
Yeah.
So
Very
that
true.
becomes the that we have to, as their leaders, as their managers, we have to bring them on board.
Yeah. See, no doubt that this is a generation which is very well versed with technology, and we need this generation now to help us with the technology. They are more well versed and quick with phones, with information, and they are the ones who can really bring so much of value into the organization only if we know how to really approach them, how to leverage their potential and talent, and make sure that they are all working hand in hand. We can learn so much from them, they can learn so much from our generation. So I think that's a great blend, like you're working. And you said that, they require certain things like breaks and punctuality. So what type of work culture should now we build so that we can attract and retain these Gen Z talent?
See, I think the like what we were talking about, punctuality or breaks and all, those things are secondary because first, as I mentioned earlier, they need to take ownership, they need to
Hmm.
take pride in what they are doing. If
Right.
they have pride in that, everything else falls in place. Nothing else matters. Once that has been established, then they are pretty much on their own.
Hmm.
But till that time, getting them on board to that is where it is a challenge. And you're very right, leveraging their strengths because they are tech first company. I mean, the tech first generation.
Hmm.
But having said that, there's a very thin line between confidence and overconfidence. right? And that sense of entitlement that a few of them come with.
Yeah.
So that you have to, kind of taper that down in a way, because uh, they need to understand that in colleges, they were paying for what is being offered to them. Here,
Hmm.
they are getting paid. So there is always a seller buyer relationship which exists. So you can no longer behave or be the way you were in a
Yeah.
college
In
environment.
college or at home. Yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes important. So, in fact, we have discussions with colleges. We reach out to deans and the senior faculty there, because we feel that this change, that making them young professionals, needs to start from colleges.
Yes.
Colleges can't be transactional with only talking about their course subjects and stuff,
Right.
but how to make them good corporate citizens. Because Payal, you've been in India now for a few years, so you would understand that India is changing. We are much younger, and this
Absolutely.
is
At a
our
very faster
force.
rate.
Yeah, so this is our force, like, especially with the Prime Minister's vision of Viksit Bharat. This is the generation which is going to lead us there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we
Absolutely.
are sitting with their feet up and just saying that I'm thinking, this will not lead us to Viksit Bharat. Especially what is happening in the global economies right now, we need to leverage this change. So this has to start from the colleges. This has to start from their homes. I'll be like, there's some of our team members, if their parents say that, oh, they don't even listen to us, or the parents will say that you don't work so hard, there's no reason to work hard because we've
Yeah.
earned enough,
Yeah.
right? So why
Yeah.
do you need to work hard?
Right.
Which is unfortunate,
Correct.
because this is the this is the generation which is going to be, imagine in the next 24, 22 years, this is the generation which will be like my age,
Mm.
nearing their 50s, late 40s.
Agreed. Yeah.
So these are the people who have to be there at the helm. So how we handle them is how we are building it for India being in a developed nation and no longer being seen as a developing nation.
Absolutely. I think that's you've taken it such a broader sense and in an overall perspective. Also, Bhavna, earlier when you and I were talking, you had touched upon a very, very critical aspect about women. Because I had asked you at that time when you and I were just generally chatting off this podcast. And I said, wow, you're in this role, in this position, you're an entrepreneur, and you said you come from a background of where women have seen women being career oriented. So what do you see these days? Do you see that women still give up their jobs? I should say give up their career, because job you can still hold, but a career is very different. Do you think women still give up on their careers for personal life balance?
Yes, that's a very, very unfortunate truth. So while there are women who take the difficult calls and take their careers more seriously, but unfortunately, uh, it is still like, just last month there was a girl who left our company because she's getting married in October, and now she's looking at spending some time in you know managing her wedding, and then moving
Hmm.
into a family which is moving into another family. And so her thought is that, oh, maybe, I'll want to take a remote role right now. I don't want to get onto a
Hmm.
full-time job. So a woman's career, unfortunately, for a lot of people, is still seen as an option, as not as an essential. And this is, so again, as I told you, that a lot of people who are in our company are coming from IITs and NITs and the like. So there are women who are coming from there. They're coming from very, very difficult backgrounds. So parents were farmers, parents were like the local kirana shop owner in a village. So these are the first girls from the village who've come out in the city and are working. But unfortunately, their parents, while they understand that their daughters have studied from an IIT, no less, but
Yeah.
they would want them to, immediately find a groom, again, could be in IIT, could be outside India, because a lot of them are from the south, and they have these people who travel, who are now in a US or a Canada, but they don't want them to spend more than 2 3 years working, because they thing is that, okay, let's just, otherwise what will the villagers say? That still exists. In the cities we don't see so much of it, but this whole thing still exists in the villages, and in spite of the
Yeah.
fact that girls have studied.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I teach leadership in some of the top colleges here in India, and I have seen the same thing that in spite of graduating from such top colleges and doing their MBAs, there is that thing, that yes, I might have to leave or whatever. But at the same time, coming back to the Gen Z, are we going to see the same trend in Gen Z women also as they take up personal life? Do you think they are also going to have the same thought process, or are we going to see Gen Z doing it differently?
See, they have it in them to do it differently. They have it in them to change it. It
Hmm.
is how much can they break out of the societal norms.
Yeah.
Now, some of them do succumb to the pressure,
Hmm.
but there are a few of them who are now, as we said, that they're now looking at staying alone in a
Hmm.
city like Bangalore and then working. So, which is a literally, and that's why when we get them on board, we ask them to get their parents to visit, for the parents to
Yeah.
come to visit them in their office to see what their daughters are doing.
Doing
We've had
correct.
a couple of girls, parents who've come to our office, met us, because for something which is so distant, till they don't see that, okay, this is my
Hmm.
daughter and she's
That pride.
achieving something,
Yeah.
that pride, that's how the parents will be able to get out of that whole social milieu to say that, okay,
Hmm.
my daughter is different and I'm supporting her in what it is. So it is not only the Gen Z, but it's also their social
Family
paraphernalia
and
which needs
background.
to move
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I think that's very right because we still have those notions, right? And I like what you said. If the parents come and see what your child is doing and feel pride, just like we used to go to the school. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
remember both my kids going to the school and seeing and then feeling that pride that, wow, both my girls are doing great in school. I think we need to continue that. Whether it's a girl
Yeah.
or a boy, just go visit their company, talk to their heads, see, you feel that pride that, okay,
Yeah.
my kids are growing well.
Yeah. Because, they haven't seen their kids
Yeah.
in the first job. They've seen them as
Yeah.
students, as
Student.
colleges. But how your daughter is now being responsible for
Hmm.
such
Hmm.
great work is something, like our company, we are very, very focused on patent and innovation. So we are trying to, or I'd rather say that we are building a company which is focused on innovation. Unfortunately, India is known for tech services, right?
Hmm.
So now imagine a girl who's come out of her college last year and has already her name on 4 patent applications,
Hmm.
right?
Got
Now
it.
the parents will not be able to comprehend it, but
Right.
how she can make them understand and how we can make them understand becomes our task, because that's how you will make them stay in
Absolutely.
the organization.
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise, next available guy, they're out.
They're out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, this
And
holds true
yeah.
for all women then, whether it is a Gen Z or whether anybody, it's basically you have to give a lot of focus on your career. I'll tell you something, Bhavna, just based on what you said. I have always felt that girls have more reasons of not doing a career than finding at least one reason to stick to it and grow in their career.
Oh, very, very true, Payal. I think I completely resonate with this because uh, I think women go behind an option,
Hmm.
right? They take care of their career till they have to. As I told you earlier, that there are very few of them who take their career seriously, and we're
Right.
trying to handpick them and get them. So that's the challenge. See, on a completely different tangent, how do you improve your safety for women in cities?
Hmm.
Not by
Hmm.
having them
Yeah.
inside home at 8 o'clock, But having more of them outside on the streets
Outside.
at 12 a.m.,
Yeah.
that it's safe. Why
Correct.
are certain cities outside India okay with it? Because there are just so many women outside.
Very
And
much.
how will you get them outside if they're independent, if they're
Safety
working,
and
they're in
yeah.
charge? Yeah. So that whole, uh, you can't say that, after 8 o'clock, there'll be no women outside.
Right.
That clearly
Yeah.
doesn't.
Doesn't make
What
sense.
helps is all of them being outside on the roads.
Correct. Yeah. No, I think that those are good perspective because that way the society is also at large has to play a role in how we can have more and more women in the workforce. Think about a career and not as an option. Right? And like you said,
Yeah,
safety
exactly.
becomes really, really imperative because there are times women are traveling, they are coming home late. So unless you are in a, safe zone, you're not able to make that call. And because of that call, women feel, no, it's okay. I'll take a job that allows me to come home at 6. While as you can
Yes,
get into a C-suite role, because but getting into a C-suite role for anything means you're coming home not before 10 at sometimes 11, you're traveling around the world. So I think those are some great perspective. And with what we started, that the Gen Z, whatever it takes, it definitely, they are the future now of, I mean, just
yeah,
anywhere in the world. They are the
exactly.
future leaders that we are building up. So I think those were some great insights, Bhavna. But before we let you go, what is your one biggest piece of advice that you would like to give up to our listeners?
Uh, I think what's important for each one of us is to be very, very focused on building our own financial independence.
Hmm.
It could be however you do it, but being financially literate and building a financial independence, because a lot of times people don't take that seriously. And that's the only way to pursue your goals and your dreams. But you need to start right now. You need to
Yeah.
start while you're just in your first job than saying that, okay, I'll do that 10 years, 20 years later.
Very true. That's so nice, Bhavna. It is such an honor to have you on the podcast and you shared your experience, your insights, and very honestly, like you were, able to just share whatever was out there. So thank you so much and for being here and sharing all your insights and experience.
Thank you so much, Payal. Thank you for considering me for this in the first place. And I'm hoping that if, this can benefit a few people, then great, because uh, these are voices which need to be heard.
Yeah.
People need to listen to how people who are working with the Gen Z, because there's just so much of smoke screen around this
It is.
generation. So
I
this needs
know.
to
True.
needs
That's
to be
right.
heard.
No, I'm sure it's going to benefit a lot of people around the globe. So thank you. And this one's for our listeners. This is Bhavana Mittal and Payal Nanjiani wishing you loads of success in your career life. God bless.